Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all that you've done. We pray now for this.
12, verse 27. Slothfulness is kin to wastefulness. And we talked about wasting time, but it wastes everything. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in honey, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. All right, this is a simple picture. Guy goes hunting. He gets himself a deer. Your boys be happy, huh? Except they're too lazy to field dress it, and it's too heavy to carry, so they leave it right there, and it rots and wastes. And that's what the slothful man is doing with every opportunity that God has given him. He's just letting the days happen. Oh no, you see. Oh no, I'm just chill. I'm just a chill person. Well, in your definition, chill means accomplishing nothing. The Bible calls that slothful or sluggard. And it's a total loss of productivity. It's total wastefulness. God's given you, and you're supposed to have a return. Where's the investment? What are we doing with what he's given us? Wasted time, wasted life. Proverbs 19. This is tough. I should have taken this one out. This makes people branch. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. So, what do? Well, we feed him. Well, that's what America does. But I'm going to tell you, that goes against God's plan. It really does. Guess who designed you with hunger pains? You know what hunger pains are? They're motivation to get off your seat. But constantly taking away the hunger pains, we take away the motivation. Now let me tell you what slothfulness does. It's destroying your life. We're going to get to a verse in a minute. We're going to see. We fight for the right to stay slothful. We deceive ourselves to stay in a place that is destruction. That's fine. You can give me that one. Give me that picture. This was yesterday. I saw this yesterday. Why America has 8.4 million unemployed when there are 10 million job openings. We have become accustomed with slothful. We don't have hunger pains. We live in a welfare state. No, that's where this is coming. That's the problem. We live in a place where we believe I deserve this treatment. I saw a poster the other day that says housing is a human right. We believe that. Everything is my right. I am owed everything. Do you hear that? That is exactly the time we live in. Oh yeah, those people are bad. I'm not talking about those people. Okay, those people aren't here. I'm talking about us people. Come on. I deserve to be treated a certain way. Well, what about us being the initiators? What about the responsibility being on us? Somebody, Brett Jeremy just always says the same thing. I wish somebody would come up and be prepared and actually help me in my life. You mean somebody else take care of you and be responsible for you? Let's be careful. This vein just runs through everything. I'm owed. I'm deserved. There's they did a movie on it, but it was an old, I think it's late 70s. I can't remember the name of the movie. But there's an area in Monterey, California, where they called it Pelican Paradise, Pelican Bay, and they called it Pelican Paradise. And you could probably look it up on the internet and find it, but I didn't. And it was Pelican Paradise because they didn't have to fish. There was a cannery for the fishing industry, and they would come into the bay and they would take everything to the cannery, and they would process all the fish, and then they would throw out all the rest. And the pelicans didn't even have to go fish. They would just, eat up the scraps every single day, right up until the cannery shut down. And then all these pelicans were dying, and they were losing their feathers, and they were getting weak because they had forgotten and lost the drive to fish. We live in a time where we have lost the drive to build a life. You know whose job it is to build a life? Mine. You know what you need to teach your kids? It's your job to build a life. Where do you want to be? Let's start there. Where do you want to be? Now, let's back up where you are. Now, how do you get from here to here? It's called reverse engineering. Build a life. It's nobody else's job to take care of you. Not in here. You know who's responsible for your relationship with God? Where do you need to be? Where are you? How do you get from here to there? It's not too tough to figure out, by the way. Book has it on like almost every page. Now let's get from here to there. It's pretty easy. You know what the Bible does, man? It simplifies our life. Proverbs 20, verse 4. You got that one? Let's skip over this. Let me jump ahead. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold, therefore shall he beg in harvest and have nothing. You know, this laziness, this loss of zeal, what it does is it destroys our initiative. It destroys our foresight. If I knew in 5 years I'm going to need this, guess what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to make sure I have it. But when we get stuck in this lazy mode, I don't even think about that. I'm too busy consuming the day, probably stuck in the victim mentality, just complaining about what I don't have and why I should have it and how all these other people are being favored over me. Meanwhile, I'm doing nothing with the time and the days God gives me. It destroys my foresight. It destroys my initiative. It sticks me in this self-destructive victim cycle. I become bitter and nasty and wonder why people don't want to be around me. Well, I could stay in Proverbs. It's going to tell you, have nothing to do with the angry man. Let me tell you, since you hate life so much, you're just full of anger. It's not hard to figure out while not even your kids want to be around you. Because they're smart enough to know I don't want to go where I'm going to get bit. This is why I cut all this out last week, 2 weeks ago, because it just sounds mean. Or real life. Proverbs 21, 25. Slothfulness, laziness, you know what? It produces covetousness. The desire of the slothful killeth him. Because, man, I wake up every morning and guess what? You have to sit over there if you don't want me to talk to you. I just look this way. I really did. I never noticed that before. Look to the right. Oh, that's because, my kids are back there. I'm afraid of them. The desire of the slothful killeth him. He wakes up every morning and he has a big want. But since he's doing nothing, he has nothing, and he just gets covetous and bitter and wakes up in the morning. Amazon.com. I need that, and I need that, and I need that. Or maybe, I guess probably if it's a lady, it's Amazon.com. If it's a guy, it's probably like Cars.com. I need that. Because we like bigger things. Ladies, they like 100 little things. Just give me one big thing. I saw a Ferrari 488 on Friday. I took a picture and looked it up. Proverbs 13, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard desireth, just wants, but it has nothing. Just keep wanting, and I just keep wanting. I'm full of want. And since I don't have what I want, Brother Wayne, that makes me bitter. And that makes me hateful. And when I do get, when finally some money, some opportunity comes my way, I just consume it upon my own lust. And then I don't have it anymore. And then whatever I consumed it on now didn't satisfy, so I'm back in the same cycle of just wanting and wanting and wanting. And as soon as something comes my way, I consume it as quick as I can, and now I just want and want and want. That is not life. And so what happens is I end up looking for that quick buck. Proverbs 13, verse 11. Wealth gotten by vanity, that's no labor. I couple weeks ago, and it ended up in, so you think you pay too much taxes? Well, no, I don't think I pay too much taxes. I just think money given without earned is wasted. Look, if I'm truthfully, this is how I would think. If I got $10,000 earned income tax credit this year, and I got $10,000 earned income tax credit next year, guess what? I'd have $20,000 earned income tax credit because I would not be spending that. Guess what? I have a house year 3. I am now paying not rent, but I am building wealth. We should not have many places to rent in the United States as much money as we have given away in the last 30 years. But when you don't have to work for it, when it's just given to you, it has no value, and you just waste it. It doesn't fix the problem. Throwing money in the fire just burns it up. And when you run around looking for the easy way and the quick buck, it doesn't solve the problem. Proverbs 26, verse 16. I didn't even get very far yet. We might have to jump into maybe those last 2 real quick. Here's the problem. This is what happens. But Tony, you can talk to a person who's stuck in this cycle. I mean, I can have this conversation. I can even be sweet. I can be sweet, I promise. But it just takes longer to be sweet. You only get 3 points done if you're talking about being sweet. Come to my table. We'll talk for 2.5 hours. I'll be sweet. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason. That would be this. Find 7 men in this church who have done well managing their own wealth. Me, being the sluggard, go to those 7 men. They're going to tell me that I should save up that $10,000 for 2 years. They're going to tell me that working this is better than that. They're going to tell me and help me how I can manage that money. But I'm going to be the sluggard. I'm wiser than them. I am deceived in my own way. You don't have to tell me how to spend my money. I know how my life is fine. Don't tell me to save. Don't tell me to invest. Don't tell me I need to work. Don't tell me my life is my life. Don't tell me how to live it. I'm doing fine my way. In my own conceit, I stay in the same circle, staying a sluggard, never getting out of it, and proud of it. Just unhappy, bitter, wanting, covetous, never getting out of this cycle, and bad at people because they don't like me. With no life, stuck, deceiving myself. I'm just fine. I'm just fine, Brother Allen. Thank you for your concern, but you can save your words. I don't need them. It's a very hard thing to change. Be careful and don't get in there. So, I got 9 minutes. Let's jump ahead. So when we get stuck in this cycle, and we jumped ahead 2 weeks ago too, by the way. We cut all that part out. I cut all that out. I thought I was going to do that in like 5 minutes. I honestly did. 2 weeks ago and today. When we get stuck in that cycle, what we need to do is apply some heat. Back to verse 11. Not slothful in business, but fervent. Fervent. Remember we talked about on the boil. I'm in front of my wife and all of her tea mess. I have to keep the water warm and hot. And you go through all this so your tea stays the right temperature. Well, that's what it's talking about. Fervent. It's applying the heat to our spirit. We need some heat applied. So how do you apply the heat? There are 3 things that can help us get out of this cycle. One, and I think we went over this quickly, and that's remember that Christ redeems. Stay in Romans chapter 12. Go back to, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God. All this starts with his mercy. Justin, we need to remember, we are redeemed of him. Okay? In fact, I read a passage from, I do remember, we did get into this. I read a passage from Martin Lloyd-Jones, where basically he says this: when we get to the place that we think this life is a burden and a struggle and we are spitting in the Savior's face, because it's not a burden he's given us. It's not a task he's given us. It is life. This is real life. This is the life he lived. This is godly. This is holy. This is good. It's not a ball and chain. And when we begin to look at that, we are ungratefully saying, why did you do this to me? We're saying it was better when I ate the leeks and onions back in Egypt. I loved being in slavery and bondage. When we get stuck in that cycle, we need to remember that Christ redeems. Now, I don't know that brings us to this idea that Christ restores. Not only does he redeem, but he restores. It's one thing to say, we're not supposed to become slothful in our zeal. Justin, you're not supposed to be slothful in your zeal, you're supposed to be fervent in your spirit. But now here I'm going to tell you, you can't make that happen. You and your flesh can't heat things up enough. If we sow to the flesh, we get what the flesh can yield. Can the flesh yield? Corruption. You can't make this happen. But I got good news for you. You don't have to. Because he didn't just die to redeem you. He died to restore you. He died and he rose again to keep you. You know, he's going to do this. God, command whatever you want, but give whatever you command. That's a good prayer, because you know what? That's what he wants to do. So he's not going to say, keep yourself hot in your spirit. He'll do that. You know, like James, draw nigh to me and I'll draw nigh to you. Is it not real? It's not really dependent on you. I'm going to get it done. All you have to do is want me to. Value, start your day that way. Wake up in the day and remember, this is the day that the Lord hath made, and he's got things for me to do, and he's going to help me do them. And in the end, we win. Changes the day. It changes what we look at, how we respond. It takes out this flesh and manipulation and control, and it makes it easier to let love be genuine. Because I'm not dependent on me to get anything done. Here, Matthew 11:28, very important. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. It's very important. Because this is how we usually feel. All right, we're going to, you know, I might be struggling with a little slothful Labor Day weekend and all. I know it's kind of un-Labor Day weekend for me, and you know, so yeah, but just give me a few days and I'll be back on track. You know, Satan wants nothing more, Matt, than to keep you in a funk. And the minute you start thinking you can make this happen on your own, you stay in that funk. Because you can't do it. So now there's just frustration and failure and doubt. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. You know what that sounds like to me? That you can come in your funk. In fact, he wants you in the Christian funk. Come to me because I am the one who restores. Psalms 23 talks about how he restores the soul. Psalm 51 talks about how he restores the joy. Romans 12 lets us know that he restores our mind. He restores the soul. I'm just going to run out of time. We're going to quit like normal. Ben, this is just a great thought to me. I mean, I'm simple. I don't know why. But Eric, give me 90 and 9, the lyrics. Oh, okay. He restores the soul. Restore basically just means to put back the way it was. When he restores our soul, we're talking about bringing us back into relationship with God. I mean, I just couldn't get over this about, I don't know. Angie didn't sleep when she got out of bed about, she got up about 3, and then she got up and tried to be nice to me and left the room at about 3:30. I just let her, although I was just sitting there awake. And so when she left, I just started thinking, you know, I do this pretty much every Sunday. So I was going through, and I got, you know, he restores the soul. He brings us back to the place, you know, in the garden is where he was, and he brings us back to the place that we can have fellowship with him. And then I just thought this: we were created for fellowship with God. I couldn't get over that. We were created to have fellowship with the eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing, just wonderful, magnificent God of the universe. God of the universe. He made the universe. The dog wasn't created for that. And we were, you and me, I was created. And even when I rejected him, he set about trying to restore me. This is one of my favorite hymns. We don't sing it around here. If we did, we could. It's long. I don't know if you've ever, I don't know if I can read this. I don't know if I can make you endure me singing it either. I don't know if who has heard this hymn before? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love this hymn. This is what it's about. There were 99 that safely lay in the shelter of his fold. from the gates of gold, away on the mountain wild and bare, away from the tender shepherd's care, away from the tender shepherd's care. Lord, thou hast here thy 99. You got 99. Look, here's the faithful. Here's the good ones. Are they not enough for thee? But the shepherd made answer, this of mine has wandered away from me, and I am a restoring God. And although the road be rough and steep, I'll go to the desert to find my sheep. I'll go to the desert to find my sheep. But none of the ransomed ever knew how deep were the waters crossed, and never will we. Nor how dark was the night the Lord passed through, ere he found his sheep that was lost. Out in the desert, weak and sick, he heard its cry. Sick and helpless and ready to die. Sick and helpless and ready to die. Eric, I'm out of time. Jump to the last one. There arose a glad cry to the gates of heaven. Rejoice.
Amen.
Rejoice. Because he restores. And then last. Not only does he redeem and restore, but he reigns. Just look at the end of this verse. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Whatsoever we have to do it heartily as unto him. What we have to do, Hank, it's not inconsequential. It may be of no value to the people around us, but it's of great value to him. And Corinthians tells us our labor is not in vain. We serve the winner. It is a good investment. And we are to wake up in the morning not slothful in our zeal, in our work to do, but with heat in our spirit, looking forward to living the life he's given us. Justin, you close in word of prayer?
Yes, sir, Brother Jeremy. Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for this important lesson today. Brother Jeremy has brought forth. Thank you for this lesson laid on his heart. I pray we take